Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us. We've got some exciting news to pass out. United States rail industry, as we all know, has been a major economic driver, but we actually have numbers, recent numbers to back that up. Mr. Capuano and I have worked very closely together on a number of pieces of legislation, including Korea in 2015, and the numbers that have come back show that the efforts that we put into place are now delivering $75 billion in economic value each year and employ 650,000 people across the country. These jobs provide goods and services to the railroad through manufacturing, maintenance, construction, leasing, and other professional services. The rail contract industry spans nationwide with the biggest presence in states like my home state of California, responsible for 46,176 jobs and a $6.1 billion impact. Proud of those achievements that we put together within the Passenger Rail Reauthorization Act. First, it is making our railroads safer. We are seeing streamlining and post-accident reporting, investments in rail infrastructure and safety improvement grants, including PTC, positive train control, and improves highway rail grade crossing safety, an issue we need to continue to work on in California specifically. Second, it requires Amtrak to run more like a business and saves money through freeing up resources for investment. Third, it expands our infrastructure faster. We're streamlining our environmental reviews to build and maintain track on a reasonable time frame. And finally, it encourages investment by expanding access to the rail rehabilitation improvement financing program, the RIF loans that we are continuing to push out. All of these are great jobs across the entire country and proven investment, as well as continue to focus on safety. Lastly, the 45G tax credit for short-line railroads needs to be made permanent. We need to continue to implement PTC, as we just held a hearing on it recently. You can tell the frustration that both of us have, that all of us have as a committee. There have been promises that have been made by the industry, and we've got to continue to make sure the positive train control gets implemented this year. With that, let me recognize Mr. Capuano for any comments that he may have.
First of all, I'd like to associate myself with everything the chairman just said. I agree with everything he said, and I want to thank you all. Actually, to be honest, this is a classic example of an industry that most people don't really think about a whole lot. But if you weren't there, or if you were doing a lousy job, we'd hear about it very quickly, because it would be people with no natural supplies, no groceries, no things on their shelves, and they'd wonder what happened. The fact that you do it in such a smooth way. In the political world, I've always said the only people I ever hear about are people who are screwing up. No one ever calls anybody and says, you know, the rail service industry is doing a great job, except of course you guys, you call and tell them what a great job. People call and say, look, there's a problem here, there's a problem there. That's the way life is. And there are many industries, especially in the infrastructure world, where they're absolutely essential not only to exist, but essential to run well. And you're one of them. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to be here today, is to say thank you. So the numbers are very interesting and all that. But the truth is, if it was one person and $1, it'd still be a critical industry. And the fact that you do it in a manner that most people don't see, I know that some of you may not like that, but it's actually a good thing. It means that you're doing your job exactly the way it's supposed to happen, in a seamless way. And I want to say thank you. To be honest, I really want to say thank you for doing that. And thank you for keeping our economy moving. Without your business, first of all, I wouldn't be able to drive anywhere. The roads are already too jammed up. I don't need any more people on the roads. I want them on the rails. And second of all, the environment would be much worse off, and there'd be a lot of people that working jobs. So for me, the numbers are interesting. They always are. But I think we all kind of knew it. It's one of those things, and once in a while it's good to get a report like this to remind people that there are some things in our world and some things in our economy that are actually working well. And so I want to say thank you.
$75 billion annually, 650,000 jobs, and creating more efficiencies on goods movement. You see the two of us from the coast in California to the coast in Massachusetts. We deal with a lot of goods movement coming through our ports from the East Coast and West Coast. But one of our biggest challenges, and Mr. Lipinski's been a leader on this, he's invited me to his area several times, is when you've got East Coast and West Coast transporting things, they get stuck in Chicago a lot. We've got to continue to improve those areas where you've got congestion, but also areas where we're seeing greater efficiencies in making the improvements that are decades overdue. Mr. Lipinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the chairman and ranking member for all the work that they've done on many issues, but especially everything the chairman talked about what the subcommittee has gotten done, the Transportation Infrastructure Committee has gotten done for rail. I tell you, in my district, the Chicago area, being the rail hub of North America, I hear a lot about rail from my constituents. It is not good. Why? We all know. We have all the trains going through. I claim to have more miles of trackage in my district than any other district in the country. No one has challenged me on that, so I'll keep saying it. But what we all need to do, and what I do every day, is remind my constituents the reason why we have trains is, first of all, as Mr. Capuano said, you put all those goods on trains, that's a lot fewer trucks on the road, which is a very good thing. Anything you want, anything you go to the store for, or you get delivered to your home, has probably gotten to the area by rail. And so now we also have to add to the arguments that I have to make to explain why rail is so important. Is the report that you have. It is great to see this so that we can actually put numbers on what the rail suppliers do for employment in our country. It's great to see Illinois number 3, the Chicago area, naturally as the rail hub of North America, has a lot of rail suppliers in the area. We want to do what we can to make sure that you all continue to be successful. We talk so much about the need to improve transportation infrastructure in our country. And rail, when you look at rail though, rail is largely a success story. In Chicago, with the CREATE program, we've made a lot of strides in making rail more efficient in the Chicago area. More work needs to be done, but look, rail is a success. And we look at other countries, they envy our freight rail system. So it's great to have this report. It's something else that I can go home and tell my constituents, this is what rail does for us. This is what it does for our economy locally. So thank you for doing this. It's good to be here as the chairman and ranking member.
Well, let me close by saying this. I think that rail is the unsung heroes in the entire logistics world. Again, when I get calls from constituents about rail, it's usually because they're stuck at a grade crossing. Either the train is stopped or not moving quick enough. But far too often we don't see numbers like this of the investment, of the jobs, of the safety improvements, of rail working. And as we move forward into this next Congress, I think the linchpin of our entire freight movement across the entire country will be making sure that freight rail is more efficient, so that commuter rail can be more efficient as well, and then putting commuter rail in as many places as possible on dedicated tracks so that our people are moving more efficiently and quicker and safer, and we're freeing up that capacity on our highways too. I am very, very proud of the work that we've done, the accomplishments we've had, and I'm proud that we've done this as friends and done it in a very bipartisan way, having great conversations over the years of how do you move this country forward? How do you move freight forward? How do you improve our rail system? And how do we continue to improve upon safety? So with that, open it up for questions, comments. Easiest press conference ever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.